how I do my makeup now versus how I did my makeup in 2020. Now I always start my makeup with the Rhode Glazing Milk and sometimes even the Stay Illuminator just to make sure my skin is getting all the moisture. In 2020, I was lucky to even use a moisturizer. I'm using a Drunk Elephant one today, but I was not using Drunk Elephant in 2020. Okay, I was broke. Now I always just slick down my brows when I wait for my primer to dry. And now I always go in with a skin tint or foundation and always blend either with a damp beauty sponge or a brush. After I use a cream blush, cream bronzer, liquid highlight. I usually just apply a little bit of under eye concealer, just bringing some of the excess to my forehead. In 2020, I would take a concealer that's far too orange for me and I would just slather it under my eye and I'd blend it with a dry beauty sponge. This sponge is really good, so it's probably doing this justice. Now I'll usually use some loose or pressed powder. I usually use powdered blush and powdered bronzer. In 2020, I was obsessed with powder highlighter for some reason. I would always use that weird fan brush and I don't have that anymore, so I'm using this one. But I would just apply it right here. I would also apply it on my nose. Moving on to eyes, which was the most important thing for me in 2020. Like, this is going to make or break the makeup. Now I usually keep it pretty simple with the eyes. I usually just do a little brown. I also love to line my waterline and tight line, and I love a good smoked out wing, partially because the eyeliner is just gonna look really bad if I don't smoke it out. Just being honest here. In 2020 though, I always needed to use a really fun color. Pink was one of my favorites. There was never a technique to it. I just kind of slathered it on there. And then again, with no technique, just putting the shimmer shade on my eyelid. And then my signature was putting it on my inner corner. But then I always used a black eyeshadow to make the most horrendous wing. And it was always gonna be like way too long. Like I need to insert a picture because my wing would always be this long. I always curl my lashes now. I'm using the Rare Beauty mascara on both sides. Back then though, I would have probably used L'Oreal's Lash Paradise. That was my go-to. Now I always use a setting spray. For my lips now, I usually use a lip liner and a gloss. I just used the Makeup Forever liner in Wherever Walnut, and now I'm using the Fenty Beauty lip oil. In 2020, I had this weird obsession with liquid lipstick, specifically in purple, but I only have pink. No lip gloss or anything, it was just dry. So which side do you like better?